Welcome to the 16th part, and I hope this will be the last part. I will be covering the immobilizer and OBD2 wiring and the shifting of battery in the back. So almost the swap is done. This will be the last part, and maybe next part I will be discussing their maintenance, how these two compare, the turbo fit or the turbo CRZ, which I like more, how is the torque steer and the wheel hop, etc, etc, those minor things. And how is the maintenance, are they expensive to maintain or not, what oil do I use, etc. So such minor things, okay. And the budget question, how much I spent on this, and how much you expect to spend attempt to do the swap. And of course you people are seeing this car open so much for the so long, because first the plan was just to swap the clutch, but I thought, why not, let's try to build a K20 and then swap that into it, and maybe push the HP level up to maybe 700 or 800. So that is the future plan for the KRZ, and that is my family daily runner. So about that I am not so aggressive about my HP goals, okay. So let's start this episode, and this will be officially the end of my K-swap series in a Honda Fit or a Honda CRV. So let's start it. Okay, so let us start with just the immobilizer first, then the OBD2 port. The immobilizer can be a piece of cake, or it can be a pain in the, if you don't know what you are doing, okay, and if you are not using the proper scanner, okay. And I will tell you the class of immobilizer in Fit and CRZ and the new ECE you will be used, they are class 3 or 4. So the G-scan scanner will not work, okay. The minimum scanner which will work is the launch scanner, but this is just a dummy. The original is like $700, and it is not justifiable to buy that scanner so expensive just for the one-time use. So I recommend you go to such workshop which have at least the launch scanner, or you can go to the Honda dealership. And again I remind you, there are two Honda software. One is Honda HDS, that will not work, okay. The Honda HR, okay, Honda real time HR, that will work, okay, that software. If you go to the Honda or any of the workshop which have the software, just do the option replace ECM PCM, okay. People do the mistake, what they do is they try to add the keys, okay, into the new ECU. The new ECU you are using, Civic 8 Gen, 9 Gen, etc. That is not the case. Look, the keys are already in the transponder, okay. Where is the transponder? This is your transponder. This is located right here. So the all your keys, your original car keys, are already stored in this, okay. So just in software you need to use the option replace ECM PCM, and that will copy this new match this new transponder to your ECU, okay. And all the keys already stored in this, they will be added to this, okay. What workshops do, they charge adding each key many of the dollars, okay. They say if you want to add one key, we will charge these dollars. If you want to add 2 keys, 3 keys, so they keep on increasing the bill, okay. So just tell them to replace PCM ECM option, okay. So when the immobilizer is configured, that key sign, that will, instead of blinking, that will just come on once and it will shut off, okay. Like you see, that green small key, that just turns off, okay. Whether it was a keyless entry like mine, the function will just like will work like it should, okay. Like this was its original engine, so nothing will be changed after you add this to that, okay. So what about the other option? If you don't have towing facility, what we do is, for example, that is the car which already have K-swap, same ECU, same wiring, and it is running fine. So it is owned by your friend or your workshop. What we do is we take the new ECU and we take out the transponder from it. And let me show you how we take the transponder out. If you have the keyless entry, it will look like this, okay. remove that plastic, and there will be like these teeny beeny screws right here, okay, the up and down position. Then after that, just you can remove it. Here were the screws, okay, and after that there are just 1, 2 and 3 screws, okay, holding that, okay. You need to lose that, and after that just wiggle it off, okay. So it will off, and after some wiggling, and this will come off, okay. I will need, okay, so now this cover is off, and look at that. Now we can see the transponder unit. Here it is. And as we know, for the passing of the starter relay, we already removed this cover, okay. So you know how to remove it by now, okay. So here is the transponder like that, and here it's grip, okay. Here's grip. Another very important thing is, before you remove the old engine out, okay, please with a voltmeter check all the wire currents before with ignition switch off and then ignition switch on, okay. Check all the currents and label them on the paper or take pictures, whatever, because when I did the swap in my fit, one wire was missing the ignition current, okay. So that's why the software was not working, and then after so many trying, we checked it, and one wire was not having the power. So what I did was, here is the extra wire, that orange wire, I passed all the way here, and here it is getting power from the fuse box. So that's no biggie, but if you know that is the problem, then there will be less time spent for the immobilizer configuration. So please label and check all the wire currents and write it, okay. So after that, just for removal of this transponder unit, just remove these 2 teeny screws, and this will be out. And then what we do is, we take this transponder and the new ECU, and the car other which has already case swap and it is running, we take that car to that workshop and or the Honda dealership. And what we do is, when we reach there, the car is when the software is ready, what we do is, we just plug in this ECU into this, and this transponder into. So we just unplug the grip here and plug it in here. So what happens is, they configure it, and all the keys already in it are already will be added in that. So after that, we just unplug the ECU, okay, and this is our ready pair. We just bring it back to our car which is being case swapped and which is standing in the home or whatever, and we just install the ECU in the engine compartment and transponder here. So that's the way we do it in the Pakistan, okay, because the towing service is like, it's very expensive, okay. That covers our immobilizer. So a strange thing which was happening in my CRV was that when any of the scanner like Hondata or any of the other scanner, when that was plugged in, okay, in the OBD2 port, okay, so the car was starting fine, but when the scanner was off, that green immobilizer key sign was flashing, so the car was not starting. That was very irritating for me. Initially I was figuring it out, and I was driving the car by the scanner or something plugged in into my OBD2 port all the time. So that was working, but I was searching for the solution. So the solution was that we were missing a ground in OBD2 port. So now I will cover that thing in my OBD2 wiring. Okay. Why it was flashing? Because we were missing a ground at position number 4 of the OBD2 port. So, and that ground I already covered in the previous part, that is this position 4, okay. 1, 2, 3 and 4, that brown wire, okay. The color does not matter, and that takes the ground from this wire, okay. The grip we cut in previous part when we did the wiring of the main parts, okay. So you will give that ground from here, okay, the G101 ground, okay. That ground will go from this port to this brown wire, okay. So that will solve your that immobilizer light flashing. Now the second option for OBD2 port is luckily That did not happen to my CRD. Okay, the next problem I am about to discuss, that was happening to my fit. The problem was when uploading a map into the ECU by Hondata, we were getting NEP error. Okay, NEP error, upload error. So in short, the tuning map, which when we do the tuning, we of course upload the map into the ECU via the OBD2 port. Okay, what we had to do is just remove the OBD2 port from here. These two logs holding it, just press them and the OBD2 port will be out. So here the OBD2 port, there is a number 13 wire. Okay, if I turn that, this is like this it will look. If you turn it around, okay, I rotate it upside down. Okay, now look at that, I have rotated it upside down, and when I turn it, there is this red wire. Okay, that down one. Let me tell you the numbering. The above is 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8, and then 9 10 11 12 and 13. Okay, this 13 number wire, color does not matter. So what I had to do is just cut that wire here. Okay, pass a new wire all the way. This is wire going all the way to the engine compartment, and join that wire to A grip, part A grip, pin number 42. Okay, 41 40 41 42. The color was pink in that. Color does not matter. So that solved our map uploading problem. The NEP or any uploading problem, that will solve that. But in CRD that was not needed. I was just showing you which location. This will work in ZF1 CRD or GP4 Honda Fit, and I don't know about if the error will be in GE Fit or GK Fit. So every model differs. Okay, so maybe you don't have to face this problem, but if you have this problem, just pass that extra wire, cut the number 13 wire in OBD2 port, pass a new wire, and join that wire into the 42 position, A42. This is A grip. Okay, and what will happen to the original wire? You just cut and secure the wire here, and you just secure the other wind under and there. Okay, so we will not do anything with the original wire. But there is a slight problem with the original wire, because that original wire, that also have communication with the number 24 wire in A grip. Okay, and that wire has some connection in ECU controlling the radiator fans. Okay, so if you do this mod, your radiator fan control will be slightly off. Okay, the radiator fans will come late. Okay, like for example, the Honda normal ranges, they start at 94 and they stop it at 90. So what will happen is they will come on at like 104 degrees centigrade. Okay, I am talking in centigrade. Okay, not Fahrenheit. So the car will be running hot. Okay, so how to fix the problem? Let me tell you first. The ECU uses two sensors to control that. The engine coolant sensor number 2, which is in the down radiator, and the engine coolant sensor number 1, the ECT1, which is in the engine head. Okay, let me show you where it is. So this is the exhaust side. So this is located just there. Okay, that white sensor. Okay, so this is engine coolant sensor number 2. So what happens is the ECU is normally controlling the fans with the radiator sensor ECT2. You will just check the option in Hondata Flash Pro to control the fans with that sensor. Okay, I will show you how. Okay, so I have Hondata Flash Pro plugged in, and this is the map I have uploaded, and you will go into the miscellaneous menu. Okay, this is the menu. This is the miscellaneous. Okay, when I open it, look at that. Here is the setting. Use second O2 sensor to control the fan. Normally this will be checked. Okay, this will be like this. Okay, so what we do is we just uncheck this option. Okay, uncheck this option and upload the mat, and the problem will be solved. But please don't disable the sensor. Okay, the second coolant sensor temperature, we do not need to disable it. We just need to uncheck this option. The fans will be now controlled with the ECT sensor 1, which is in the head. But another trick is that sensor, the temperature is, the head is slightly hotter. Okay, So what we'll do is, normally here the Honda option is 94 turn on and 90 turn off. What you will do is, you will set that slightly less, okay, like 90 and 89, like I have set it. So set it to slightly less, okay, 4 to 5 degrees centigrade less. So that will solve your all the problem. And this is not a simple problem. If you don't do it, my AC was also acting weird, okay, when I passed that extra number 13 wire to the A42 pin. The AC was also not working fine. When I pressed the AC button, it has its own mind. Sometimes it turn on and suddenly turn off on its own after 1 minute, and then after like so much time. So it had its own mind, okay. I was so irritated. It was the hot summer. So that option, use of secondary coolant temperature, you should uncheck that if you have been facing this problem. The AC is giving the problem, of course the AC should be fine. So after I added that extra wire to the number 42 pin, you may face this problem, okay. And this problem sometime also occurs when people use Hondata Flash Pro. For example, I will show you few posts in the forum. In the normal Civic Si, they just use the Hondata Flash Pro. The engine was original, everything was original, wiring was original. Just the user did was, he by the Flash Pro, he uploaded the map, and the AC was just had its own mind, okay. So that, for that solution, just uncheck this option or check it. If it's already unchecked, just check it, and vice versa. So that may fix that problem. But in our case, when we add this number 13, cut that 13 wire and pass a new wire, in that case the problem is solved 100% by this, okay. Just uncheck this, set the coolant temperature, and this is already enabled, okay. This option already will be there, so no need to touch that option. So that was it for the OBD2 port and immobilizer, okay. These problems you may face, okay. Another thing is, it's nice time to shift the battery in the back. I am not shifting because I need a spare tire, because roads here are not good. The flat tires are very common problem. So that's why I have kept the battery in the front, okay. But you can shift it in the back using the hybrid wires, okay. This hybrid wire, the terminals in the boot are same. You can easily use even 2 wires will be sufficient, okay. There are 3 or 4 wires, okay. Ground you can give them from your trunk. So in the back it will look like this. These 3 wires, or you can do your 2, attach to your positive terminal, and let me show you. Of course you have to make some your own battery mounting sport, something like that, to securely mount it. And here is where the ground look like. You can attach one IMA wire to ground and another ground to here in the boot, okay. That's always good to have 2 grounds. This is just to show you, one ground is going in here in the boot, and one is going toward the engine bay. And in the engine bay, here is, this is nicely tucked away, fixed with a mount, and here this is all going into the positive terminal, okay. And this car, this is ZF2, and this is having the OEM Honda K24 and using its OEM cold intake, okay. This is going toward the engine, and this is lower portion going toward the cold side under the body, okay. And here is this will go into the battery positive terminal, not here, okay. Remember, not here, these are different. You will directly attach to now I will tell you where you will attach it, okay. And on this motor side, this is this terminal again. This is a rubber is held by a zip tie. Just open the zip tie and extract the terminals. Of course the terminal will not be looking like this, okay. So you can use a universal terminal like that and crimp it, and I think the 2 wires would be enough, okay. So where do we join those 2 wires? We'll be joining directly to the battery positive terminal or this screw, okay, this bolt, okay, not the any of these other bolts, okay, not any of other bolts, okay. You will directly join those IMA battery wires to this screw. or you can attach it with this screw and just directly to positive terminal. Okay, this anyone direct positive terminal, not any of these. Okay, so that will cover up our battery shifting to the front, okay, to the back, and that will nicely clean up your hood, and also plenty of space for your turbo or intercooler wiring. Okay, so I am using small battery because I told you I have not shifted with my reasons. Another small but important tip, because when you remove the battery while doing the swap, the power steering will be locked. Okay, so to avoid that, for example, this will get locked. So what you will do is just extract your key by pressing this button and extract this key, and then insert that key into this. Okay, so now your steering won't be locked, because sometime for removing of the axle you have to turn the steering wheel so that this inside nut can be opened. So it's sometimes irritating but again putting battery in and out, because you have to open the boot or something. So just take this out key and insert it in that. Okay, that will be get rid of your locking steering. Okay, in my first part I told you that this was the AGR valve, but that was a mistake, I'm sorry for that. The AGR valve look like this. Okay, so this is the AGR valve, EGR, exhaust circulation valve, recirculation valve. So this is that, and this is a valve which controls the runners. Okay, this intake manifold has two runners, one which open on low RPM and other which open on high RPM. So you don't want this complicated type of intake manifold. So avoid those engines which have this type. Okay, which I showed in part 1, which I told that was an easier valve. So again you should avoid that engine, because that wiring, the Civic Si wiring does not support those runners. Okay, so if you do use that type manifold, you will have restricted airflow, because half the time those runners will be closed. Okay, so you will be choking your engine. Another thing I want to tell, the throttle body should be electronic. Okay,